This is TWiT.
I'm wondering if I should be worried about this story of the week that I see you put in there for the top of the show. This news doesn't make me very happy because I have been a T-Mobile subscriber before. Have you?
I have not been a T-Mobile subscriber. So it's kind of hard to say because they used to do this plan for the iPad where you could get, I think it was like 100 megabytes of data for free. And so in that sense, I have been, but it didn't require any credit check to do that. And then I recently tried out T-Mobile's Test Drive, which is this cool experience on the iPhone where you can try out T-Mobile's network on your device to see how it compares to your current one. Because with the iPhone and other devices, it's a dual SIM device that also has a built-in eSIM option. And so I was able to add T-Mobile as a network provider and kind of test between my provider and T-Mobile. So it's possible that I'm involved in this, and therefore I think that, I also was kind of concerned about this. So what is this we're talking about? It is a security breach at T-Mobile. T-Mobile has reported more than 40 million customers, more than 40 million customer records have been affected in a hack of the system. So let's talk about how this kind of breaks down. There are 7.8 million current users of T-Mobile that are affected, as well as more than 40 million records from past or prospective customers. What does that mean? Well, anyone who applied for a credit check while trying to get perhaps a phone through T-Mobile or another device through T-Mobile and be part of the system, part of T-Mobile service, are potentially affected within this 40 million box. It's kind of a scary one because we hear a lot about breaches for sure, but there are, you usually hear about maybe some names, email addresses. Occasionally, it'll include physical addresses. Occasionally, it'll include passwords, but they're hashed. So it kind of depends on what the breach kind of is, but it tends to be something that's a little less worrisome than this, because in this one, customers' full names, their dates of birth, their social security numbers, and their IDs, such as driver's licenses, were included in this breach. That means potentially having all of the aspects of someone's identity involved in this breach. And so that's a pretty big deal and kind of terrifying, if I'm honest. What is T-Mobile doing about this? Well, they have put together a site where it says, it's our response to kind of what's going on. And they say, what can you do? Well, the first thing that they offer is 2 years of free McAfee ID theft protection. They say to log into your T-Mobile account online and follow the steps to create a new PIN, because that was another thing that was part of the breach is different customers' PINs. Obviously, change your password for your T-Mobile account and protect your account by, it says, use our account takeover protection capabilities by calling customer care at 611 on your phone. This free service helps protect against an unauthorized user fraudulently porting out and stealing your phone number. So this is for postpaid accounts only, as well as something called Scam Shield, which uses anti-scam features such as Scam ID, Scam Block, and Caller ID, which is a service that's free to all T-Mobile customers. For Scam Shield, that's a lot like what all of the different carriers offer for spam calls and things like that. And then they have some other options that are available. I saw some folks who are T-Mobile subscribers on the reg talking about how it was difficult for them to get online and change their PIN because T-Mobile's network was kind of overloaded as they were working on all the people who were rushing in to change their PIN, et cetera, et cetera. So this is... there's a certain word that starts with cluster, and I won't finish it, that I think applies to this situation. It is a big old mess is the definition of that word. And I'm worried for myself and for, others who have T-Mobile service now or have in the past, because This is a big one, and I don't know. I kind of I worry about these different online systems that we kind of trust to be secure, that we're willing to hand over so much of our information in order to use them. And for these breaches to happen, it's troubling.
Yeah, I mean, obviously T-Mobile and any company that has, this kind of sensitive data needs to do a really good job of being sure that they are keeping this information locked down and inaccessible. Of course, sometimes I suppose there are times where you don't know where your insecurities lie until suddenly they are exposed. But regardless, getting a credit, anything that involves credit requires a certain level of data that's more than just your standard website collects from you, your address, your name, whatever. I mean, we're talking social security number here, like you mentioned, IDs, like driver's license, date of birth. And once you go into that category of information, you go into the realm of, it being much easier for someone to pretend they are you, potentially, or opening credit in your name. So it goes beyond just like general nuisance and now I'm getting spam emails. It goes into something that has real world ramifications for someone if someone using that data uses it in a way that affects your credit score or anything like that. And so, yeah, it's super troubling and concerning when it goes there. I'm so at this point, and I'm curious to know what you think. Like at this point, I feel very numbed to this sort of thing now, because I feel like every day it's a new business or, pile of data that is leaked. And in order for us to even be on the internet, I almost feel like there's no way to truly do what we do on the internet without giving some of our information to a site or a service. And then by extension, I just kind of assume and expect, as wrong as it may sound, that some of that information is going to end up leaking out or getting stolen or whatever, because that's just the reality that we live in. But when it goes this deep, that's where it gets really troubling and concerning. And I would imagine, I don't know when T-Mobile is going to contact affected users.
Right.
But I was looking this up yesterday. I don't know, I've been a T-Mobile subscriber. I can't recall if I ever needed to do anything that was related to my credit. I certainly don't recall ever doing that, but I can't say for certain that I never did. So then I'm in this situation where I'm do I freeze my my credit? Because that's one thing that you can do. You can put a freeze on your credit. That way, if anyone who happens to get this information wants to, pull out a loan with all of your pertinent information that they might now have, they would reach, a stop sign there as a result of that. And I don't think there's any permanent damage to your credit score for doing that. Anyone can go in there through one of the credit agencies and put a freeze on their credit and then unfreeze it later if you need to for something.
They're
so
actually
that's something to remember.
Two options. You can either implement a fraud alert or you can issue a security freeze. The one that Jason's talking about actually stops a credit reporting agency from giving away any information from your credit report without written authorization from you. And then a fraud alert, on the other hand, lets you still use your sort of credit as a way to obtain a loan or some other thing, but a loan or a line of credit. But it requires more identity verification on the part of the credit bureau, or the person issuing credit. So I can remember there was, I think it was the Equifax deal not too terribly long ago, and around that time, Apple had started, or maybe it was, I can't remember if it was at the very beginning of Apple offering this or later. And folks were trying to get a new iPhone, but because they had implemented a security freeze and they went to order the new iPhone, they were unable to do it through the pay-as-you-go plan or whatever because of that security freeze. So it's good to know that there are two options. If you're thinking about making a purchase by way of a loan or credit in the next year or so of time, do know that you can set up a fraud alert as opposed to a complete security freeze. Both of those are available to you.
Concerning stuff.
Keep an eye out, I guess, for T-Mobile to notify you, but I do think that it's good to be proactive with this. As I mentioned, T-Mobile has a site that you can go to where it actually, the way that I found it was I went to tmobile.com, and right at the top there was a black bar and it said what we're doing about the cybersecurity issue. I clicked on that, and then I was able to see all of the different things that they offer as part of kind of the package for helping you deal with any security threat that you might be facing. So that is an option there. But yeah, everybody just kind of be on the lookout for that, and change your passwords and update them as needed.
It's probably completely unrelated, but my phone the past week or two has been pummeled by spam SMS messages. Probably totally unrelated, but I mean, I'm getting like 5, 6, 7 of these things a day, all coming from different numbers, blocking and reporting each one of them as they come through, but they're obviously from the same place because the messaging is the same. And then I saw this and I was like, wait a minute, is that related? It's probably not, but oh my God, what a nuisance. It sucks.
Agreed. An incredible
And that's
nuisance.
just a nuisance. That's not just like, that's only a nuisance compared to I can't pull out a loan for this house that, let's say I'm buying a house with my wife and I can't do it because somebody has ruined my credit because of information they got from T-Mobile. Like, that's a whole other level,